measured against Bitcoin, prices of everything are falling. It appears to be rising because people are converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper to then measure Bitcoin price. But if you actually realize what is happening is, my house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, my house is 22 Bitcoin today. Energy prices are falling, all prices, and as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and when you really understand it, you know it will, it's the only thing that will, it will reprice everything else over time. So it would be normal in a world that you thought prices should go up to trust somebody else with your Bitcoin. Right, because institutions should be able to be trusted, but every time you're doing that, you're not only removing yourself from the equation. Essentially, you're trusting somebody else with your Bitcoin, and it's not your Bitcoin. There is only one Bitcoin. You're going to be choosing to be on it or not be on it, and if you don't choose it, you're going to get repriced to buy it.
Bitcoin keeps climbing while everything else keeps losing value. If you're trusting your financial future in dollars, you're gonna get left behind. That's the message from macro analyst and longtime Bitcoin bull Jeff Booth. In his interview, Booth explains that we're measuring everything backward. It's not that Bitcoin is getting more expensive, it's that your dollars are losing purchasing power. A house that once cost 300 Bitcoin now costs 22, and energy prices measured in Bitcoin are falling. According to Booth, this isn't inflation or deflation in the traditional sense. It's a monetary reset in real time. As long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, he believes it will reprice everything. Booth warns that people who hold onto fiat are getting quietly drained, while those who adopt Bitcoin early are stepping outside a broken system. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video, as Jeff Booth breaks down why opting into the Bitcoin system now could be the most important financial decision of your life.
The thesis is pretty simple, and I think most people can see this in themselves. The natural state of the free market is deflation. And we know that's true because we only use things that provide us more value, and an entrepreneur has to create more value to survive in the free market. So if we use things that give us more value, an entrepreneur has to create more value, then the output of that has to be deflation. In fact, what you're doing, is touching a whole bunch of people you couldn't touch with a one-man show right now because you can go direct because of technology. Yeah. So that's a massive productive force, and it's everywhere in our world. And so what that means is prices should be falling everywhere. If you live in a free market, they should be falling at that rate everywhere. And you should get richer and richer and richer, even if you didn't work, as other people work for you and the natural course flows. But we don't live in that market. We live in or most people don't, because they live in a credit-based system.
They think it's free.
Yeah, they think, so in other words, think about this. We've never lived in a truly global free market. We've lived in a control system masquerading as a free market. And from the control system, because the control system is based on debt, and I'm not saying bad people on this, I'm saying a credit-based system can't allow deflation, because a credit-based system would collapse completely. So that credit-based system has to steal the money that should flow to you through deflation, plus inflation, to constantly create more monetary units to make you believe prices go up. And you're inside that system, and everybody's inside that system, making it stronger with all their actions. So you ask yourself, what would it look like if you had a decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy? Bitcoin, the first ever decentralized secure protocol bounded by energy, what would it be pricing if you couldn't change it? And it would be pricing perfectly the global free market. So measured against Bitcoin, prices of everything are falling. It appears to be rising because people are converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper to then measure Bitcoin price. But if you actually realize what is happening is, my house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, my house is 22 Bitcoin today. Energy prices are falling, all prices, and as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and when you really understand it, you know it will, it's the only thing that will, it will reprice everything else over time. The Bitcoin's IRR for the last 15 years is compounded annual growth rate is 45%. Yes, it's volatile, but that means if you're investing in houses and you have 8% return, you're losing 37% a year against Bitcoin. So, but you think you're winning because you're winning because somebody else is losing money against houses. So you think you're winning, but you're actually losing. And so why that's going to be chaotic is most people don't understand.
So that's rationalization of that.
It's a rationalization. Just like if you were in Argentina, people look at Argentina as their currency got totally debased, going, why didn't they understand? When they're doing the same thing in the US today.
Yeah.
And so
they got to get out of the system.
Bitcoin is the only thing that's decentralized and secure. And I'm saying I'm not crypto. I think, and it would get really confusing as well, because you wouldn't think protocols are winner take all. And the internet's a protocol, and they come in layers and add more functionalities. Technologies are the next technology beats the other technology, and winner take most. So we think in terms of technologies because we don't see protocols very often. There is only one internet.
Yep.
Right? You choose to be on it or you choose not to be on it. There is only one Bitcoin. You're going to be choosing to be on it or not be on it. And if you don't choose it, you're going to get repriced to buy it. And it's developing in layers, and there's more and more functionality building in layers. In fact, at Ego Death, that's what we're investing in. And we're investing in, and if you saw what was happening and the rate of growth all around the world, you'd be very inspired.
According to Jeff Booth, we're still in the early innings of something much bigger. What started as a niche experiment is now pulling in the biggest investors in global finance, and BlackRock's entry is just the beginning. As more institutions pour in, the sheer weight of capital behind Bitcoin is going to push prices much higher and faster than most people expect. But while most are focusing on Bitcoin's price growth, Booth views it as a broader shift in the financial system itself, with governments, legacy banks, and major media outlets finally taking it seriously. Bitcoin is entering a new era of legitimacy, positioning itself as the foundation for whatever comes next.
And the decentralization security bounded by energy is the innovation. So if you and all of the other blockchains either have to lack security or be centralized. So the hack on the exchange with Ethereum last week, that they actually had a talk about rolling it back to take it back, tells you it's not decentralized. You couldn't do that with Bitcoin. There is nobody to
roll
it back.
It's no resilience.
So when somebody
exactly, it's already secure.
It's bounded by energy. It's secure.
You said bounded by energy. Describe that for the folks who heard that. What do you mean? It's bounded by energy.
So because of proof of work on how it chases abundant energy and it sources and you have to do the work to mine Bitcoin, find that holds it to energy. Right, so it puts a floor of energy, which is actually our new operating system for the world, and so that bounded by energy, you can't change that.
Energy, you mean power?
I mean electricity, power, all of the compute that goes in. The way the compute works to mine this is the number one cost in mining Bitcoin is the energy. So it chases energy all over the world, low cost energy, to be able to make more make the economics work in Bitcoin, and that further decentralizes it. And then the nodes that audit the rules make sure those rules are followed. So that bounds this thing to energy. If you just walk through, if Bitcoin made a choice, or the design choices wouldn't allow it to scale on layer one. That's what keeps it decentralized, secure, bounded by energy. But it couldn't scale 5 to 7 transactions per second. And so what people think now is, and then if you were just in this world and Bitcoin was repricing you and it appeared to you everyone was getting rich in Bitcoin, but it was every 10 minutes just repricing the world, right? And it appeared to you, then it would make sense, I'm going to create a better Bitcoin, right? And the free market would there's 11 million coins right now, right? And there would always be new ones because we fall into a trap of a better thing, right? And so how do you create a better one? If you create a better one by centralizing, you have to ask yourself a pretty simple question. Why, if you're going to centralize, wouldn't you just use a database instead of a high-cost database? Right? You wouldn't use a blockchain to centralize. I know, but you wouldn't use a blockchain to centralize. So what ends up happening is Bitcoin then develops Lightning Network and Liquid and other layer 2s that right now, most people don't know this, touch 650 million people in the world. that are transacting on Bitcoin all the time. 650 million, it's growing, layer 2 is growing faster than the internet was growing in the 90s. And people don't even realize that it does all these transactions. Essentially Bitcoin, most people saw it, the people saw it as a store of value, but not a utility where they could create value, communication, everything else. So this company created on top of Bitcoin, another protocol called Fediment, that sits on top of Bitcoin, is integrated to it using I won't get technical, but this the simple thing is it provides privacy of communications, complete privacy of communications, and money inside a network that a community can own for themselves, and those communities are now growing all over the world, and it's tethered to Bitcoin, and they're growing so fast all over the world. Why? Because authoritarian dictators are rising in the world, and this gives the antidote to that. Imagine what happens in the overthrow. In these governments, they shut off your communications. They shut off your banking. That's how these dictators thrive. But if they can't shut off your communications, they can't shut off your banking because you're outside of that network, all of the power goes back to the people. Measured against Bitcoin, prices of everything are falling. It appears to be rising because people are converting Bitcoin to their piece of paper to then measure Bitcoin price. But if you actually realize what is happening is, my house was 300 Bitcoin 5 years ago, my house is 22 Bitcoin today. Energy prices are falling, all prices, and as long as Bitcoin stays decentralized and secure, and when you really understand it, you know it will, it's the only thing that will, it will reprice everything else over time.
So, there's Jeff Booth with his macro outlook on Bitcoin. He warns of an approaching economic breakdown, driven by collapsing fiat currencies, unchecked inflation, and rising bank failures. Booth argues that the promises made by central banks have unraveled, leading to relentless money printing and a flood of poor investments. With the effects of recent inflation still rippling through the global economy, he sees no return to normal. Instead, he calls for a transition to a Bitcoin standard, describing it as the most viable path forward as the old financial system continues to break down. Do you agree with his viewpoint? Share your thoughts in the comments. Anyway, guys, before we go, if you want to stay most up-to-date on the crypto and Bitcoin world, subscribe to my daily 5-minute crypto newsletter. It's a concise resource for the latest expert predictions, breaking news, and top on-chain analysis, trusted by over 50,000 subscribers for insightful crypto investment information. Don't miss out on the opportunity to stay informed in the crypto market. The link is in the description below. I hope you all enjoyed today's video and that it gave you some value. I'll see you all at the next one, and as always, all the best.